to join me for Air Tech Talk right here on Synergy Radio, where we'll be discussing the parameters of your air conditioning and heating system.
Questions about your AC and heating? Get the answers on Air Tech Talk with Victor Washington of Washington & Sons Air Conditioning and Heating. Mondays, 2 p.m. on Synergy Radio.
In 2011, for the first time in history, there were more mobile phones than people in the U.S. If you're a small business owner and you do not have a mobile app, you are losing customers to your competition. I can help you connect to more customers today with your own customized mobile app. This is Darrell Norris, CEO of Fresh Tech Solutions. Let us develop an affordable mobile app for your business. Learn more at freshtechsolutions.com with a Z at the end, or call 713-893-8125.
Hey now, this is Amber Shaw inviting you to join me Sunday afternoons for Unplugged Praise. You'll get a dose of industry news, artist interviews, and music from some of your favorite artists such as John P. Key, Pastor Shirley Caesar, Marvin Sapp, and I can't forget about my Houston Gospel fam, Angela Bennett, Chad Brawley, Kathy Taylor, Wallace Grant II, and the list goes on and on. So tell your family, friends, and all your church members, Unplugged Praise is your kind of praise.
Unplugged Praise with Amber Shaw, Sundays 1 to 4 p.m. Synergy Radio presents Rich Living.
Do you find yourselves in situations and it seems like there's no change or it will never end? You see, most of the time we find ourselves crystallized in our thinking, and we become crystallized even in our negative thought patterns. When you find that you've become stuck in a negative thought, the key to changing the thought pattern is shake it up a little bit. Change your daily habits. Change your daily patterns. A change in your physical activity can influence a change in your thought patterns. Do something that makes you feel good. Do something that makes you feel great. This is Richard Harper for Synergy Radio Network.
Attention churches and nonprofit organizations, Dawson Chemical and Janitorial Supply Company has all the chemicals and janitorial supplies you need. Toilet tissue, paper towels, trash can liners, styrofoam cups, plates, and more. They also offer churches and nonprofit organizations 10% discounts and free same-day delivery. So give us a call today at 713-697-7137. Mr. Dawson has been supplying Houston area large and small congregations for over 36 years and has 3 area locations to serve all of your paper, chemical, and janitorial supply needs. Dawson Chemical also sells commercial janitorial equipment, buffers, vacuum cleaners, steam cleaners, wet and dry vacs, and more. We also repair all types of janitorial equipment and provide a full line of pest control for your do-it-yourself convenience. So give us a call today at 713-697-7137 and let Dawson Chemical meet all of your paper and chemical supply needs. Again, call us at 713-697-7137. We look forward to your call. Any church that spends $100 will get a $25 gift certificate that can be used with your current purchase.
When it's time to learn more about the world, it's time for the Morning Magazine.
Be entertained and informed. Join Paris Ely for the Morning Magazine. Weekday mornings at 9. Here on Synergy Radio.
Visit our website at www.synergyradionetwork.com.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the Business Breakfast Talk Show, where we serve you your most important meal of the day.
That's right. We are serving success strategies and system side dishes each Saturday here on Synergy Radio 1480 AM.
So grab your coffee and your croissant, and let's get down to business. We are your Business Breakfast Talk Show hosts. I am Tiffany A. Washington.
And I am Joy Hutton Lacey.
So today's show is all about transitioning from the traditional workplace into entrepreneurship.
Yes, so for our listeners who are side hustlers and creating a master plan to exit their 9-to-5 so you can completely focus on your business, we've got a great show for you today. We'll also discuss the essential It's one of those mornings, y'all. Y'all know we have these moments. But we will also discuss the essential elements of business image and leadership development and how to use them to take your business to the next level.
Yes, exactly. So let's jump right in, Joy. This is going to be a very eventful and informative show today.
I'm excited. And wait, who's our guest today?
Our guest today is Melkia McDuffie.
Yes.
And she is the CEO of the Talent Trifecta. And she is going to be talking to us about business image and leadership within our businesses and how to successfully transition out of that employee mindset into that entrepreneur mindset. So she'll be talking to us about a mesh of all those things, but of course, like always, we'll be opening that conversation up today.
Absolutely.
So I want to start by asking Joy, when did you know that you were ready to transition out of your 9-to-5?
You all see how Tiffany is putting me on the spot. Always putting me on the spot, Tiffany. Maybe I don't want to talk about that.
You don't want to talk about that?
No.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. So, that's a good question. I think I was born to be an entrepreneur. And so my father told me this when I was younger. He said, you're meant to be a boss. You're not meant to work for the man, as they say.
The man, wow.
And so I've always had this in my mind. And so that's presented some challenges in the workplace for me because I don't necessarily like people telling me what to do.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
So I thought to myself, it's time for you to make a change. But what really took me there, Tiffany, was I was working at a job and I was dealing with a very difficult boss. And I said, I don't have to take this.
Right.
Because I have a lot of skills to offer, and I know that I can make an impact on a larger scale. And so I said, it's time to make a change. And when I did quit that job, it was nerve-wracking because I'm like, but really I like the stability of having a check. And so I still look for jobs. But then, after talking to a number of people, they were like, Joy, you need to start your own business. Joy, you need to start your own business. And I said, well, I had to think about what exactly were the skills that I had to offer people. And again, making an impact on the larger scale. And so that's when, I sat down, figured out all the things that I knew I could do, but then crossed out all the things that I didn't want to do and kind of crafted my niche from there. And then, that's how Joy of Consulting was formed. So she put me on the spot,
I knew
Tiffany.
it was coming.
So let's tell everybody why you, or how you decided to transition from your 9-to-5.
Well, similar to you, I always knew, even without my parents telling me, I always knew that I wanted to have my own business. I just didn't know what I wanted that business to be at the time. I knew I had a particular skill set, and I knew that eventually those skills would work for me one day. So what it was about for me was a journey. So for those of you who don't know, I started out as an educator. So an educator, worked my way through the ranks and ended up as an assistant principal and served in that capacity for a while. And I just started to become unfulfilled and dissatisfied with the trajectory of my career.
Right.
And when I saw that I was being treated poorly and people were telling me what to do who weren't necessarily qualified or as qualified as I was, I said, you know what, it's time for me to start putting my skills to use.
Absolutely.
And so I started by writing a book. And after I wrote that book, things just kind of started to take shape from there because I knew I wanted to be a writer. I knew that I wanted to host workshops because that was one of the things that I really excelled at as an assistant principal. And so I knew that that was going to be something that served me well. So all it was, because I'm already, certified teacher in multiple areas, certified principal. So I knew that I had the capability to run my own business. So it was really just about timing. And I had to have some of those experiences, those negative experiences that I had in order to build a foundation for my business. And that has helped me to develop my platform. Awesome. So I knew that it was time to go once I started hitting those rocky places everywhere I turned. It wasn't easy anymore. And it's like, I think it's something, I think this is a sign that I'm being tugged in a different direction.
Right. And one of the things you mentioned timing, one of the things I realized too, that there are good times to start a business, but sometimes if you let too much time pass by, you may miss out on the opportunity to go ahead and explore your path that you're supposed to be on. So speaking of that, of other signs that it's time to transition from employee to entrepreneur, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so one of the things that you want to recognize is that you might be passionate about your work, but not your job. That's one sign that it's time to transition.
Right.
And it's great to be passionate about your work, but you want to make sure that that energy is still harnessed inside of your job. And if it's not, then you want to start to move forward in that area, because you don't want your job to be the bane of your existence every morning when you get up.
Yes, like, Lord, why?
Right. You don't want to have to pray for 30 minutes before you get out of the bed. Every morning. You don't want to take deep sighs before you step foot out of the car in front of your job. Those are things that you don't want to happen. So if you're passionate about your work but not about your job, then you might want to consider writing down some of the things that you would like to do inside of a business of your own, similar to what you spoke of earlier. Yeah.
And you mentioned, the struggle is real. When you don't like your job, you're sick and tired of just thinking about it. It's time to think of another path. And again, we've talked about maybe that path is not entrepreneurship. Maybe it is, because maybe it's just another career path. But, just being in a position where you are just at your wit's end and it's time to go. And then also you simply just want to help others. Like I mentioned, I wanted to make a larger impact. It's great doing work for one organization, but I wanted to serve many.
Right.
And so we will talk more about those signs when we get back. Thank you for listening. Call us if you have questions or comments at 832-230-5592 and follow our page, The Business Breakfast Talk Show.
You're listening to Synergy Radio Network. We'll be back after these messages. I love this station.
Visit our website at www.synergyradionetwork.com.
Hey, this is JJ on the mic. Look, be sure to stay connected to Synergy Radio in your house, in your office. Synergy Radio Network, where it all comes together.
Hey, this is Tasha Evans, and we are so excited about the upcoming Empowered Summit on December 15th at 5 p.m. The Empowered Summit is a spiritual audit and a transformational movement that is sponsored by the Stacy and Bo Porter Self Foundation. Register today at BoPorterEnterprise.com.
This is Bo Porter. Join me at the Empowered Summit and be a champion for Christ.
Apex Telecommunications Services Incorporated is a full-service voice and data solutions company that has been serving the greater Houston area since 1989. Call Apex at 281-847-1921 and let us give you a quote. We are certified Panasonic and YayStar resellers and Meridian Northstar specialists. Nonprofits receive special pricing on all Panasonic voice solutions with a free 7-year warranty on equipment. With YayStar S-Series and N-Series voice over IP PBX systems, you get a 3-year warranty and there are no license fees ever. Call Apex at 281-847-1921. That's 281-847-1921, 281-847-1921, and ask for Herbert. Visit our website at www.apextel.com.
All Phase Assistance Care, 24-hour quality care serving the elderly since 1993, specializing in transportation, meal preparation, and private sitter services. Our sitter services are available in private homes, hospitals, rehabilitation centers, and skilled facilities. Call All Phase Assistance Care today at 713-545-4902. Allow All Phase Assistance Care the opportunity to provide you with quality service and peace of mind.
And now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to the Business Breakfast Talk Show. If you're just joining us, we are talking about how to transition from an employee to an entrepreneur. And if you have any questions, give us a call here at 832-230-5592. Please don't forget to like and share. If you're watching with us via Facebook Live, go ahead and share this post out and share the love this morning. Don't dine alone. Invite a friend.
And thanks for joining us. And I have to say a special shout out to my auntie Pam. I see you, auntie. But good morning to everyone that's joining us. So we were just talking about the signs of when you know it's time to stop being an employee and transition to entrepreneurship. And so the last thing was just talking about when you're really just ready to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
And also having the need to want to help others. Right. And so that's something that was a big void in my life, as I was saying before. And also having the support.
Right.
Because let me tell you, everyone does not support your dream.
Ooh,
and that's something that's very real, okay? Right. It's like, but can you give me $1 to start this business?
Right,
and it's
exactly.
like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, and so some people want to support you in theory, but when it's time to really grind it out and really make some major moves, you want people in your corner who are going to walk with you, not just watch you from a distance, you know? And don't be disappointed, because there will be those people, you know, especially I hear so many entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs talking about the fact that their friends don't support them.
Yes.
Well, they may not be the people that are inside of the niche that you want to serve. So therefore, you should not have those expectations of them either. So we also have to manage expectations when we're looking for support.
Absolutely. Yeah. And making sure that you're not on this journey alone.
Right.
Because that's taking a huge risk. It's very nerve-wracking, as I said earlier. You have all these fears of failing, and you really need someone that's going to back you.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of the steps you can take to go from being from going to employee. What am I saying?
From being an employee and transitioning into an entrepreneur.
Going from an employee to an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Okay. So we always say that you have to have a plan, right, Tiffany? Okay, we emphasize this over and over. I think we say it every single episode.
Yes.
Because this is important. You know, determine what you like to do, but have a plan before you decide to do it. Consider what you can realistically see yourself doing day to day, because the thing about entrepreneurship is that you can take on something that you don't like to do, and then you're stuck in another dead-end job.
Right.
So make sure it's something that you actually like to do and you can do.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main pieces. Can you do it?
Right.
Because just because it looks good on paper and everybody else is doing it, if you don't have the skill set, then the primary skill set, let me say that.
Exactly.
Then it's not a good idea.
Just out here faking. You know, it's not going to work. So, yes. And then, is it something that people will pay for?
Right.
Because if people aren't going to pay for it, well, guess what? You don't have a business.
Yeah.
It's a hobby.
And then, you know, one of the things that pops into my mind when you say that, will people pay for it? You can't just put something out there a couple of times and see whether or not it's going to work. There's a whole marketing plan that has to go behind what you're doing.
Right. And Tico just said, do your market research.
Yes. And so and then also there's the work that has to be done.
Absolutely.
So you can't just throw it out there cold to a couple of your friends, and if it doesn't work, then you throw it by the wayside. You do actually need to put some valuable time into it to see if other people will pay for it. Because I may not pay for it on the first time, but I may pay for it on the third, fourth, or fifth time.
Exactly.
You know, so.
There are several touch points that you have to do with people, and that goes to our next point about finding people who you think would be your ideal customers or clients, and talk to them. Ask them what their needs are, what their fears are, aspirations that are related to your business idea, and get their feedback.
Right.
So, why you laughing at me, Tiffany? Y'all, she be laughing at me. I don't know what's going on this morning.
It's okay. Well, you know what? Joy and I love each other.
We do.
And I don't know, we just have some telepathy going on sometimes. So I hope you all can feel that over the airways and via Facebook.
Just good old genuine love.
Yes.
So speaking of love, you know, you want your customers to love your product and service.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if it's not in line with my needs, then I don't want it.
Right.
And again, you don't have a viable business. You don't have a viable business idea. So make note of those things. Really listen to who you think your target audience is.
Right.
And so, like you said, Tiffany, designing that marketing plan, doing your market research, as Tico mentioned, and having that business plan.
Yeah. And you also want to set your business up on a small scale.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked on this already, but basically, test your company idea by launching it while still working your day job.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other piece, because a lot of people who see other entrepreneurs who've since moved away from their day job, they think that it's going to be a certain level of ease that comes with that.
Yes.
That's just not the case, because we've all tested in some way, form, or fashion before we said, okay, I'm going to completely let go.
Right.
So doing this gives you a no-risk opportunity to test your ideas and to get your first clients and to see if your business will hold up.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, that feedback is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Take that feedback seriously, because you may need to make changes before you start scaling your business.
Right.
Pay attention to those.
And your clients are the best people to tell you what's working and what's not working in your business.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll say, I like this, but I don't like this. Or have you thought about this? Have you considered that? And, we can't be in our feelings when we're serving other people.
That's right.
Yeah.
You better say that.
Yeah, you cannot, because this is a business. Entrepreneurship is the place where you have to be accepting of criticism.
Absolutely.
And if you're not ready for criticism, be it harsh or be it wrapped up in a nice package, then entrepreneurship may not be the best route for you to take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, in having that support that we talked about before, you need to assemble your squadron.
Ooh, squadron.
Yes, your squadron.
That's a $17 word.
Yes. You have to have your squad, because depending on your personal experience, you may need help in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
Finance, marketing, customer service, production, whatever it is that you're lacking, someone else needs to make up for it.
Right.
Because if you're trying to do something that you can't do, you're going to fail.
Absolutely. And you also need to secure some financing. Okay, I think did we talk about this last week? Yeah, we talked a little bit about it last week. So sometimes it means that you're saving up money. So while you're still an employee, what are your goals? Is it to get the new Louboutins, or is it to start your business?
Right.
So you're going to have to make some tough decisions, and you're going to have to kind of scale back in some ways in order to save for the things that you really want, unless you're just already set up.
Absolutely.
But if your aspirations are larger, you may need to think about how to procure some type of capital that's outside of your own pockets.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. At the same time, you also want to decide what kind of company structure that you want to have. A lot of people may start off with a DBA because it's cost effective, but you do need to incorporate your business at some point, have an LLC or create some type of partnership. Because this is just beneficial alone for tax purposes.
Right.
So have your business house in order, get this taken care of legally, and carefully define the roles and investment of each of your leadership team members so that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then after you do all of those things, my favorite part, leave your job.
Leave your job.
Just leave it.
Shut the door.
But that's after you have a tight lock on all of those things that we just mentioned.
And don't walk out,
Yes. Don't make a grand exit. And the reason why we say that is because you may have to cross that path again.
Yes, absolutely.
So as Mama used to say, don't burn those bridges.
Right.
So when you leave, you want to make sure that you leave on a high note, because the business that you leave could very well be your client in the future. I hear so many stories about their people who are entrepreneurs and their previous 9-to-5s end up being one of their first clients.
Right.
So it's important to build those positive relationships.
Right.
Even if you don't like your job, this is just a quick tip. Even if you are in a strong state of dislike, it's important to make sure that you handle yourself and conduct yourself accordingly, because your reputation will follow you.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And also, once you've left your job, and even before you leave the job, because again, you have to have these steps in order.
Right.
Set up a working budget, because you're not going to have that paycheck.
Yes.
It's not going to be regular, it's not going to be regular. And so you need to have a budget, because your lifestyle is going to change dramatically.
Yes.
Hopefully for the better, because the dollars will be rolling in from your new business. But this should include any payments for marketing expenses, if you are hiring people early on, any important purchases, and we talked about budgeting and financing before, but make sure you have a budget, because this is a dramatic change from, you're getting that check every 2 weeks, from let's see, I have to make sure I get a client this month so I can pay my bills.
Exactly. And the other piece of that is just to make sure that when you're setting this budget up, you set it up for a very minimalist type lifestyle, because you just never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And you can underestimate how much things are going to cost for your business at times. So you really want to get down to the basics and strip yourself and set it up with the people that you owe money to figure out what type of plans you can get on, all of those things. That's a totally separate show, but that's one of the ways that you set up your budget. You have to start figuring out how to slash things.
Right.
Yeah.
And scale your business according to your marketing plan, because everybody's business is different. You can't do what the next person has done in their business. And so you really have to think about, okay, what are going to be my challenges? How do I need to market my business in this particular industry?
Right.
So it goes back to that, doing the market research and seeing what you have to do.
Yeah. So we have a couple of comments on Facebook.
Yes.
I wanted to go and kind of talk to some people. So shout out to Jacqueline Gale, who says she's in love with the Business Breakfast Talk Show. Thank you so much for listening. Tyrone Smith, Robert Cepeda.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah. Robert says, I've done both. Great. So he's on top of it.
Right.
Trisha Cornwell says, joy equals the truth.
Thank
you. She is the truth. So I see Eddie, Thisha, Robert, Tico,
Myra.
Yes. Yeah. All of these people who have joined, thank you all so much for joining. And if you have questions, please go ahead and type them into the comment box. Robert says this is inspirational to take that leap away from fear and anxiety. Thank you so much.
Because it's very daunting and scary when you're starting a business and leaving that comfort zone of your job.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to leave a paycheck every 2 weeks? It's like, man, that's very scary. So leaving that comfort zone. And so let's talk more about it. Kind of some things that are battles. You're having that employee entrepreneur struggle, that dichotomy that you experience when you're trying to make that transition.
Right. So that brings us to the mindset piece, right? So with that mindset piece, you want to make sure that you take care of that internal struggle that you might be having. Okay, so the employee says, I'm afraid, so I must conform. But the entrepreneur says, my fear fuels me.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Yes.
Changing that mindset, that fear, because it is scary.
Yeah.
But how are you going to use that fear to drive your business forward?
Exactly. So when you are a part of a 9-to-5 and you have been thinking about leaving for years and years and you haven't done so, that is a part of the way the system is set up.
Absolutely.
You have to conform when you're inside of these 9-to-5 positions, because you have to follow a certain code of ethics, a certain code of conduct.
Right.
And you have to do what your superiors tell you. And so when that happens, you start to get comfortable in people telling you what to do, because you don't know what's on the other side.
Right.
And that's part of what produces that fear. But entrepreneurs say they admit that fear is definitely involved, but learning to use that fear and to hurdle those obstacles.
Right.
So we're going to get more into that when we come back. We'll continue to talk about
and
those
we're
steps.
coming back with Melkia McDuffie.
Ooh, yes. We have our special guest in the audience today. Can't wait to join her from the Talent Trifecta. So go ahead and share that video out if you haven't, and we will be right back.
We are now Synergy Radio. Powerful talk that inspires change.
This is Chauncey Glover from ABC 13. Be sure to stay connected in your house, in your office, or even in your car by tuning in to Synergy Radio Network, where it all comes together.
I love this station. Visit our website at www.synergyradionetwork.com.
This is Victor Washington with Washington & Sons Air Conditioning and Heating, inviting you to join me for Air Tech Talk right here on Synergy Radio, where we'll be discussing the perimeters of your air conditioning and heating system.
Questions about your AC and heating? Get the answers on Air Tech Talk with Victor Washington of Washington & Sons Air Conditioning and Heating. Mondays, 2 p.m. on Synergy Radio, 1480.
Hey now, this is Amber Shaw inviting you to join me Sunday afternoons for Unplugged Praise. You'll get a dose of industry news, artist interviews, and music from some of your favorite artists such as John P. Key, Pastor Shirley Caesar, Marvin Sapp, and I can't forget about my Houston Gospel fam, Angela Bennett, Chad Brawley, Kathy Taylor, Wallace Grant II, and the list goes on and on. So tell your family, friends, and all your church members, Unplugged Praise is your kind of praise.
Unplugged Praise with Amber Shaw, Sundays, 1 to 4 p.m.
Just checking. Just checking. Is it where you can turn the vocals down just a little bit? I have it right in here.
Hey, what's up? It's Lil J. Sean.
And Asia. Tune into the Shake and Bake Show every Saturday morning at 10 a.m.
We're interviewing your favorite rappers, singers, actors, everybody. Hey, we're giving away some special keys on this.
We're giving away gifts. We're interviewing our own mentors from the industry and bringing you all of the best advice.
Make sure y'all tune in every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Woo!
The Shake and Bake Show.
The Shake and Bake. Well, let's call it the Shake and Bake.
Hey, this is JJ on the mic. Look, be sure to stay connected to Synergy Radio in your house, in your office. Synergy Radio Network, where it all comes together.
You want me to bring us back in? And we are back. We are joined here with Melkia McDuffie from the Talent Trifecta, and we're going to let her tell us a little bit about herself in a moment. We want to go back to shifting your mindset from employee to entrepreneur, and we're going to run quickly through those because we want to maximize our time here with Melkia.
Yes.
So you left off talking about fear, but let's talk about mistakes.
Yes.
An employee would say mistakes are bad, but an entrepreneur shifts that mindset and says, my mistakes make me succeed.
Yes, absolutely. You can't be afraid of making mistakes because you're going to make plenty of them, especially if it's a space where you've never ventured for long periods of time. So be prepared for them and embrace them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then security. We all like security.
Yes.
That paycheck.
Hey.
But security, an employee would say, security is taking no risk. I'm going to continue making this money and collecting my check, which there is nothing wrong with that. But an entrepreneur will say security is taking calculated risk.
Yes.
Having a strategy before you go out there into the deep end. Right?
Absolutely.
And then an employee says, I must know it all, versus an entrepreneur says, I'm constantly learning. And this is not every employee, y'all, okay? We don't want to throw shade on anybody, but there's a certain mindset shift that you have to make from employee to entrepreneur.
And I think one of the reasons why they say that you must know it all inside of a 9-to-5 is because you are expected to be the expert in whatever area you are to cover.
Absolutely.
However, as an entrepreneur, we know it takes a whole team of people, and you can't be the smartest person in the room on every single aspect
Exactly.
of it, you know?
Right, because we don't know everything.
Exactly.
And we have to be open to learning
Absolutely.
constantly. And then the goal is my next promotion as an employee versus the entrepreneur. The goal is the journey. I love that.
Yes.
So, you know, looking at most performance reviews, you'll notice that the goals are clearly structured. The next promotion, the next advancement opportunity, the next raise. But as an entrepreneur, the journey is a process in itself. So those are some things, you know, that we can learn from in shifting the mindset. But we're going to really get into it because Melkia is going to change your whole life.
She's going to change our whole life today. So before we get started with Melkia, we want you to know that she is the CEO and principal consultant of the Talent Trifecta. And she's going to be sharing with us how to take that newfound entrepreneurship and focus it on building our business image. She's going to talk to us about what it takes to transition out. So she has some things she wants to share with us. But first, Melkia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay.
And tell us about who you are as well.
All right. So again, I'm Melkia McDuffie, and I am CEO and Principal Consultant at the Talent Trifecta. And the Talent Trifecta is a boutique consulting practice where we focus on 3 things. I like to do things in 3s because it's just easy.
Yes.
So we focus on business image consulting, career coaching, and leadership development. So we really work to help clients choose, change, and advance their careers.
All right, choose, change, and advance.
Yes.
I love that. Yes. So when you are doing that, tell us a little bit more about consulting as far as businesses are concerned. Why is it even important?
Yeah, so in my practice, I really work with the individual to help them to understand what their gifts are, what their talents are, and then how to best apply those in the workplace or in their entrepreneurial ventures.
Right.
And so oftentimes we have a lot of hobbies, right? And there are a lot of things that we're good at and a lot of things that we're interested in doing, but they may not necessarily make the best use of your gifts.
Right.
And so one of the best things for me as working as a consultant as opposed to inside of an organization is that I get the freedom to be, to use what I refer to as radical candor, right? So I can tell you,
I like that.
this is not your gift. This is not your strength. I think that you are investing a lot of time and energy in something that's not going to necessarily benefit you.
Right.
But inside of an organization, you know, you have to be very careful about what you say and to whom you say it.
Right.
And so the consultant practice gives me the opportunity to exercise some of that radical candor.
I love that. So the thing about it, though, is you are also a C-suite executive.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about how that translates when you are working with your clients on a one-on-one basis, and what are some of the things that you see inside of that executive level eye, and how do you transition that to people who are trying to get to where you are, trying to transition out?
Absolutely. So having the seat at the proverbial table, right, from a corporate standpoint, you're privy to a lot of conversations that the employees themselves don't ever necessarily get to hear. So, for example, as we're talking about who gets promoted, who gets demoted, who gets moved out of the organization during a downsizing, there are reasons typically beyond the performance of the company or the performance of the individual in the job. There are other reasons that are typically not discussed with the incumbents that cause the business to make whatever decisions they make. Outside of my corporate life, I have the opportunity to sit down with those folks and say, hey, no one's ever going to tell you this, but this is the very thing that's holding you back.
Yeah.
And all of us have blind spots, and it is usually those blind spots that impede us from moving as far as we'd like to move in the workplace.
Yeah. So what would you say some of those mistakes are? You know, mistakes that employees have made on the job that keep them from advancing in their career?
First, it starts with understanding the culture of the business, right? And so if you work in an organization that's very relationship-centric, and you're someone like myself, because I made this mistake, you're someone like myself who's very A-type personality. And so it's a forced thing sometimes for me to make small talk because I'm here to work, right? I'm not here to be your friend. But in an organization where they place a lot of value on relationships, that's not going to fly, right? And so you've got to figure out how to forge genuine and authentic relationships because people know when you're not being authentic also, right? But when you are not able to do that, that can be an impediment to success, right? So knowing your company's culture is key, but also making sure that you are conveying always an air of confidence, of gravitas, because that speaks to your credibility, right? And so you have people who are super smart, right, and very capable, and they are regarded as subject matter experts. But when you engage them, they're not making eye contact, and there's certain things in their body language that would suggest that they're not confident. Well, that will hold you back in the workplace, and that will certainly hold you back as you look to make that transition from corporate America into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah. So one of the things that I want to know is, we have plenty of listeners who are in their 9-to-5s and they're still trying to figure out how they should show up in the entrepreneurial space. How can they leverage their experiences in their corporate career to create a brand image that will sustain within their small business?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, that is a great question. I think it comes back to, Tiffany, just knowing what your gifts are. So just because you've acquired a set of experiences or skills working in corporate America, it doesn't necessarily mean that those skills and talents or experiences are what you're going to necessarily put into play as an entrepreneur, right? And so some of that, like the discipline of being responsive and the discipline of being somewhere on time and being conscientious and doing all the things that you need to do as a good employee are going to serve you well as an entrepreneur. But the most critical thing is just really understanding what your gifts are and not confusing your gifts with your experiences.
Right, right.
That's good.
So how do you tap into that in people, helping them make that distinction?
Yeah, so I take people through a series of assessments, and there are certain patterns that show up in your life that will begin to reveal what your gifts are. Because oftentimes people confuse, I like to do these things with my gifts, and everyone always said I was good at doing hair, and so that must be my gift. Maybe not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. And so I take them through this self-discovery process where we look at the patterns. We do a 360. I'm a huge believer in Strength Finders. If you guys have never read the book Strength Finders and taken the Strength Finder assessment, I strongly encourage you to do that because it will start to reveal to you sort of the things that you will always do well no matter what.
Right, absolutely.
And that's the awesome thing about understanding what your gifts are, because when you are operating in your space, operating in your gift, then you have no competition.
Yes.
Right? Because there may be other people who do what you do in terms of the vocation, but there will never be anybody who does it quite like you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're your own competition.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Many people, so many business owners or new business owners are scared to do something that's already been done before. But the reality is there's nothing new under the sun. It's just about your personal touch on that.
And your passion for it. Because if it really is your purpose, then you will approach that job or that career or that business, whatever it may be, with a level of passion that nobody else will be able to replicate. Now, conversely, to finish answering your question, the other side of that, the gifts piece, is the blind spots. And so what I've seen in entrepreneurs is a lot of the things that have held them back in corporate America, if those things never go address, right? So everyone has blind spots. The way that you see yourself is not necessarily how others see you. And so the promotion that you didn't get at work, when you got laid off, when you had difficulty dealing with a coworker, all of those things were probably a manifestation of a blind spot that you're unaware of. And so if you don't go through a process to make those blind spots real to you or known to you, then they will carry forth in your entrepreneur space.
Oh my gosh, this is so good.
Are you out hearing this? Y'all wake out here, okay, on this business breakfast talk show, because Melkia is telling the truth over here.
Because so many entrepreneurs are walking around with a false perception of who they are. So if you have questions for Melkia, please go ahead and make sure that you put them into our chat box on Facebook. And if you have questions that you want to ask her live, give us a call here at 832-230-5592. We will be right back.
You're listening to Synergy Radio Network. We'll be back after these messages.
Visit our website at www.synergyradionetwork.com.
Hey now, this is Amber Shaw inviting you to join me Sunday afternoons for Unplugged Praise. You'll get a dose of industry news, artist interviews, and music from some of your favorite artists such as John P. Key, Pastor Shirley Caesar, Marvin Sapp, and I can't forget about my Houston Gospel fam, Angela Bennett, Chad Brawley, Kathy Taylor, Wallace Grant II, and the list goes on and on. So tell your family, friends, and all your church members, Unplugged Praise is your kind of praise.
Unplugged Praise with Amber Shaw, Sundays 1 to 4 p.m.
In 2011, for the first time in history, there were more mobile phones than people in the U.S. If you're a small business owner and you do not have a mobile app, you are losing customers to your competition. I can help you connect to more customers today with your own customized mobile app. This is Darrell Norris, CEO of Fresh Tech Solutions. Let us develop an affordable mobile app for your business. Learn more at freshtechsolutions.com with a Z at the end, or call 713-893-8125.
Washington & Sons Air Conditioning and Heating, your full-service professionals, offering quality air conditioning and heating services at affordable prices. Family-owned and operated with 50 years of experience. Washington & Sons provide quality solutions for your home or commercial property. Call 713-660-8683, 713-660-8683 to schedule your in-home, no-obligation consultation. Be sure and ask about our 6-month no interest, no payment inside unit special, or our 12-month no interest, no payment full heating and cooling system special.
This is Victor Washington, owner of Washington & Sons Air Conditioning and Heating, servicing Texas and Louisiana for the past 50 years with dependable, quality service and known for integrity and honesty.
Awarded numerous times by the Better Business Bureau. Call Washington & Sons, 713-660-8683.
We are now Synergy Radio. Powerful talk that inspires change.
Joining us on the Business Breakfast Talk Show. We are so happy to have you here with us, and we have live in the studio Mrs. Melkia McDuffie, CEO of the Talent Trifecta, and she's getting some questions on Facebook Live, y'all. So if you have some questions, please go ahead and type them in the chat box. But Monica Victoria, thank you for asking your question. Monica asks, what is a good book recommendation for finding blind spots?
I'm a big fan of Strength Finders, as I mentioned, and in the Strength Finders book, there's an assessment that comes along with it, and it uncovers for you sort of 34 themes. And what's interesting is the top 5 are kind of who you are, and no matter whatever circumstance you're in, under pressure or not under pressure, you will always do those things expertly. But if you get the full 34 themes, it will tell you also those things that you don't do very well. And I know that when I took it as a HR practitioner, I've been in HR for 20 years, empathy was like down at the bottom. I'm like, whoa. Wow. That's scary. Yeah. So relator was at the top, and empathy was down at the bottom. So that tells me that I've got a little bit more work to do in that area. Yes. And another one is my book, You Are the Talent. So that'll be available in 2 weeks, and that's also a great book to begin to uncover what those blind spots are, and then also what to do to begin to address them.
Yeah, I love that. So we hope we answered your question, Monique Victoria. Let us know if we answered your question. So she also said a good way to identify, but I think that StrengthsFinder is the best way. Yeah. So one of the next things I wanted to ask you about was some of the things that you really want our listeners to take away as they are continuing to mold and develop themselves into better leaders, into better entrepreneurs, into better career people, wherever they are, you know. I mean, because some of us,
entrepreneurs are executives,
exactly, because some of our listeners have not yet switched out of their full-time jobs.
Or may not even want to.
They may want to continue to have their side hustle, if you will.
Absolutely.
But they want to thrive inside of their career. So we want to be able to address those listeners as well. So talk to us a little bit about some of the takeaways they should have.
So I'll give you 3 takeaways because, again, I like to do things in 3s. And so the first one would be to get yourself a really strong mentor or coach. That is critical because that mentor or coach will help you to uncover the blind spots. They will have that radical candor with you. And one thing that I will say about identifying who your coach or mentor should be, there are a lot of people who are well-intentioned and have a lot of great advice, right? But you want to select a coach or mentor that has achieved the level of success that you aspire to, right? Because you can't tell me how to do something and you're struggling, right?
Oh my goodness. And there's so many people out there who are doing that very thing.
What to do.
Oh my goodness.
And so somebody who is a great leader, who has behaviors and attributes that you can learn from, you can emulate, but don't be afraid. If there's somebody that you really admire, don't be afraid to say, you know what, I'm really impressed with your career path, your career trajectory, what you've done in business. Would you mind being a mentor to me? Don't be afraid to ask that question.
Now, when you're asking that question, though, what kind of responses should you be prepared to receive as a result of that? Because everybody can't be a mentor to everybody, you know? So what's the best way to approach that? Should we start a relationship first? Or if we ask and get turned down, what should we do?
Ask them if there's any books that they recommend, any podcasts that they recommend, because you're absolutely right. I know that oftentimes people will ask me to mentor them, and I wish I could, because I really enjoy doing that, but I'm one person. And so if I can't afford to give them my time, then I try to give them some resources that they can refer to.
Absolutely. I think that's great. Because I think mentorship has kind of lost its art too, because people have these false expectations. They're like, no, we're supposed to talk every week, and I'm like, but no, we're not. We're going to do 2 hours a month if I have that.
Exactly.
You know, so
and then it's tough, right? Because I'm a career coach, so I'm like, so at what point do you start paying for my service?
Exactly.
So that's tough also.
That's very tough. And so, and what we want to do is make sure that we bring out the point that you don't want to abuse people's time. You know, there are some things that you're just going to have to roll your sleeves up and do yourself and figure out on your own, and then ask questions when you come to bumps in the road versus just expecting your mentor to give you a fully laid out plan.
Exactly. And a good coach or mentor will hold you accountable. So they're not going to do everything for you. They're going to say, if you're really serious about this, here are the things that need to happen. And they'll take a step back and see if you're serious, if you actually execute. And if you don't, then come back when you're ready.
Exactly. Or don't come back because you're wasting my time.
Or not.
That would be me.
Okay, so that's number 1, mentor or career coach.
Yes. So number 2 is introspection. Introspection is key. You've got to know who you are. You've got to know what you're good at. You've got to know what you're not good at. And you've got to be willing to make the commitment to develop where you need development. And so if you are somebody who is not, you were written up at work because you weren't responsive, you didn't come to work on time, okay, well, you really need to work on that before you step out in that entrepreneurial space, because you're going to have customers that also have an expectation.
Absolutely.
And so you've got to make sure that you're buttoned up in that regard. Also, dealing with, I find that oftentimes one of the areas, particularly with women, that they struggle with is confidence. And so when I do the business image consulting, they think a new outfit is going to make them credible. And I'm like, this is not like a Superman situation. You don't change the outfit and become a new person. And so you've got to work from the inside out. So if you're lacking confidence, what is it exactly that is causing you to not exude the level of confidence that you need to? Because as an entrepreneur, you want to be regarded as credible. And if you're not confident, you're not going to be regarded as credible.
Oh, I like that.
And then our final point. What is our final point?
The final point is just a principle that I live by. I think that everyone has a gift, and some of us are blessed to have multiple gifts. But whatever path you choose to take in your career, in your business, make sure that you're using your gifts not just to serve yourself, but make sure that you're using your gifts to serve others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. And so what is one of the things that you've experienced over this past year with the Talent Trifecta and trying to move entrepreneurs into a more positive direction? What are some of the trends that you're seeing with the new entrepreneurs?
Unfortunately, the first thing that springs to mind is maybe not necessarily a positive, is everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but nobody, I can't say nobody because that's not true, but there are some that don't want to put forth the work that's required to really make a true successful entrepreneurial journey, right? And so you see other people doing things and they're independent and they're not working for the man, and that's appealing. And so you want that, and so you say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to start a web design business. Right. And that's on Monday. And then when I speak to you on Friday, you know what? Today I'm going to sell clothes.
Yeah.
And so there is a level of discipline that is required for you to really be able to hone in on what this business is that that it is that you should be doing, and to be able to do it well.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we thank you so much for being here with us today. Joy, did we have anything, did we miss anything today?
I wanted to kind of touch on that business image.
Yeah.
Because I think that, you know, it's important to really understand how that correlates to you investing in yourself in the workplace, but also transitioning to entrepreneurship. Like, how do you kind of draw the correlation in that space between the business image? Because I think that's important.
Sure.
What should you invest in when you're thinking about that?
Absolutely. So again, it starts from the inside out. So, but if we're talking about just exterior appearance, in the organization in which you work, you've got to know that culture. So if they're business casual, then you've got to make sure that you are a step above that, right? And so what ends up happening is everybody else around me is casual, so I'll be casual. Unfortunately, as women, particularly as women of color, we've got to be better, right? We've got to stand out.
Absolutely.
When you are stepping outside of corporate America and you're working as an entrepreneur, who is your customer base? What is it that you're selling? What is your product? What is your service?
Right.
And so if my product or service is career advancement, career success, career achievement, I've got to look like success, right? Because you want people to look at you and think, I want some of what she's got, right? And if you look like you're struggling, nobody's going to have that desire. So
nope, she's not getting my money.
Yeah. So invest in just in polish.
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
So what are the things that are going to make you look polished, poised, incredible in whatever space it is that you operate in?
I think that's so important. You know, someone told me a long time ago, dress the part of who you want to be like, or dress like the person you want to become.
Right.
And
Dress for the part you want, not for the part that you have.
I mean, I was 22 wearing full suits to work, and people are like, do you have an interview today? And I'm like, no. I just got this suit on. I want your job.
Right, exactly.
And you have to determine what your level of excellence is early on.
Right.
Because that becomes a part of your brand. That becomes a part of who people begin to know you
That
as.
is absolutely right.
You know, so when I see Melkia walking down the street, I already know she is going to be dressed to the nines. I already know that she is going to have her clutch in hand. But that says a lot about who she is as a person.
Her personal branding.
Yeah, her personal branding, because your personal brand goes with you everywhere.
Yes, absolutely.
And, sometimes we have off days, and that's okay, but more often than not, you should look the part of who you want people to see.
Yes, absolutely. Our branding.
Yeah. But I always say, be not fooled by the appearance of things, because show is not substance, right?
That's true.
And so, yes, you may look nice, right? But once we pop the hood on that shiny car, what does the engine look like? Right? What are you working with? So we've got to make sure that we've got that piece buttoned up as well.
I love it, and thank you for adding that, Melkia, because that is so true. Some of us can be a mess on the inside.
Yes, absolutely.
But just holding on that one little button that goes over, and it's holding on by a thread. I'm just saying.
I'm not messing
So
with you.
don't be that person either.
I can't.
And if you need some help, then you need to come to Melkia.
Yes, come to Melkia. And where can we find you?
Where can we find
and
you?
what's up for you next? You mentioned the book, so tell us where we can find you. And what's up next.
So my website is www.thetalenttrifecta.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. And what's next? So the book, You Are the Talent, will be released in 2 weeks. I will have a invite-only book launch. So that will take place on January 14th. I'm really excited about that. Is it? Well, come celebrate your birthday with me. Yes.
That is so awesome. I love it. So I'm so glad to hear that the book will be coming out. And then what types of platforms can people get your book on?
They will be able to get it on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, any of the major book retailers, and also you can purchase it on my website at thetalenttrifecta.com.
Awesome, awesome. So any parting words, any final thoughts before we get ready to get out of here?
I just say, take the time to understand who you are and make sure that you are always polished, poised, and prepared.
Yes, love it.
Love
it. You have just been served breakfast on the Business Breakfast Talk Show. So if you have not shared the video out, go ahead and share out the video, and we'll see you right here next week at 7 a.m.
And you see how she stole my line, y'all?
Yeah, I stole
my
my
line. I say
line.
breakfast is served all the time. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm going to say it anyway. Breakfast is served.
Thank you. I didn't mean to say it.
We are now Synergy Radio. Powerful talk that inspires change.
When communities unite, Synergy is there. Synergy, harnessing the power of community. Visit our website at www.synergyradionetwork.com.
I love this station.